Hi, my name is Kamrul. I'm from College of Business, RMIT. Today we are here to talk about the way Coles and SecondBite is working in the supply chain. Coles is one of the top 20 retailers in the world. They do lots of good business. On top of that, what they can't sell, they try to help the poor or the community. So they do this kind of business through SecondBite. So SecondBite is coming to that scene. So we are here to know the way SecondBite is working. Nick and Lucy are here with us. Nick and Lucy, could you please introduce yourself and what's your responsibility? How do you engage with this big organization? Thank you.
Nick Hilliard, I am the State Manager for Victoria. So generally I look after all of the movements of our fleet and supply here in Vic, as well as sort of assist with a couple of other bits and pieces around the nation.
Yeah, it's a great responsibility. Thank you.
I'm Lucy Coward. I'm our acting CEO at the moment, but I'm usually Director of Operations, which is a nice way of saying that I look after all the trucks and warehouses around the country and the team that works to help feed hungry people every day.
Yeah, operations are the core things you do every day. Thank you. So could you please tell us about more about the organization, the way it works, its objective, missions, the way it helps people? Lucy? Yeah.
Absolutely. SecondBite's about 18 years old now. We were started by Simone and Ian Carson, who saw that there was plenty of waste coming out of the back of supermarkets at the time, and that there was lots of hungry people. So they literally joined the dots and started with their car and collected food and delivered it to a local agency in Paran here in Victoria. And then from there we've grown. So every day we work with over 1,000 charities around the country to give them food for free to give to people in need. We also do that in our core partnership is with Coles. So most of, about 60% of our food comes from Coles.
Thank you. So you guys are giving helping people as well as you are contributing to the circular economy. Thank you. So next we want to know more about the whole supply chain, the way it works. So starting from the sourcing, so you know, to feed those people, you need to bring the things. So how do you manage this whole sourcing? Because you may have many sources.
Yeah, look, we don't really have a supply chain, we have more of a surprise chain. So much of what we do is actually quite reactive, that we are responding to the various donors around the country. Here in Victoria, I've got quite a variety from Coles supermarkets through to their DCs, to independent growers or other manufacturers. So we do have some regular calls that we make because we've worked out with those suppliers that there is a consistent-ish amount that comes on a weekly basis. But then we get other random requests come through at short notice that can cause us to need to shuffle up quite a lot of things and be in multiple places at once.
It looks like agile. So how do you manage these quick response things? Are you ready with those?
There's a significant amount of instinct involved. So we have parts of our fleet are in fairly predictable places each day. So knowing what our fleet can and can't carry can determine, where we might pick it up from. So some donors are prepared to wait a couple of days for us to collect things. Yeah. Others need it now. So depending upon the volume, we might reverse our trucks. So where we might have had a smaller truck in the east and a bigger truck in the west, we flip the two trucks so that the right size vehicle's in the right place to scoop up. So our fleet does do deliveries as well. So they'll tend to go out full if we can and come back full is sort of the best outcome for us. So again, just flipping them backwards and forwards as we need to, particularly on the larger side of our fleet.
Yeah, thank you. So we always think that supplies are available, but it is not happening always. So if you see non-availability of foods or supplies, so how do you manage this thing? Because you have needy people, they're waiting for food.
Yeah. So I think in food rescue, it's slightly different to food relief. So all the agencies and charities that work with us understand that it is a surprise chain. And today we have lots of watermelons and tomorrow it's lots of avocados.
Yeah.
We also have a really good baseline from our work with Coles. So every day we send about 40 vehicles around the country, go to the back door of Coles, and anything that's edible and unsold will come to us. So it's about 70% of that is fruit and vegetables, which is amazing. Everybody can use them. They work with every culture, every religion, no matter who. So that's a really good baseline for us. And then it comes down to what else we get. The other thing is the agencies understand that working with us, it's free. So they're very accommodating to the fact that we don't, it's not a supermarket. You can't just come and get your milk and your bread and your eggs. They will work with us, but they will also work alongside others like Oz Harvest and Food Bank. So if I don't have eggs and milk today, one of the others might. So most of our agencies, so 75%, will work with at least 2 of the 3 of us.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. They need to run. They have other sources.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So next is about the demand, because how do you understand the demand? Do you do forecast or something like that?
So the demand's gone up significantly since COVID. So we were 1 in 6 people suffering some form of food insecurity. We're now at 1 in 5. So there's a significant increase in pressure for our team to find and distribute food, which leaves us in a sort of a position of that demand completely outstrips supply currently. So we are largely rationing and trying to make sure that everyone gets their equal share based on their genuine needs. So we try to make sure we have a strong understanding of our agency base. We did surveys not all that long ago where the agencies were able to say how much of their needs were being fulfilled and give us a reasonable gauge as to what additional capacity is out there for distributing what we receive.
So at the moment, as Nick said, when we went from 1 in 6 to 1 in 5, what that meant practically for us was our agencies told us that we could double what we were giving them in a week or a year, and it would still not meet the current need. So we put about 25 million kilos of food out into the community a year, rescue and put it out, which is 50 million meals, and that's still, we could do 100 million at the moment and we'd still not quite meet need. So we're helping, but unfortunately we're not quite solving.
Okay. So in supply chain, in our term, we always think that always there is a supply and demand mismatch.
Yes.
So you guys also face the same thing. So it looks like you have more demand than supply. So do you face also you have more supply than demand as well? And how do you manage these things?
Yeah. Yes, we're unlike a business. So, in the past I've worked for dairy companies. You have a lovely demand planning system and it tells you what you need of each SKU all the time. And you can look weeks and weeks out and you can look at seasons. Unfortunately, we don't have that. We don't have the luxury of planning necessarily what comes into us. So one of the challenges for us is exactly that. There's definitely a demand pull. The other challenge is capacity within our sector. So as much as there's a huge need in the community, every charity is dependent upon funding coming from the public or government or whoever. So sometimes the block is not necessarily what we receive or the need at the other end. It's that there's a lack of trucks or a lack of warehouses or something in the middle. So sometimes you've got your supply and your demand and it's the middle that can't make it come together.
So inventory is the heart of everything. So how do you manage the inventory in the warehouse?
It's quite interesting. Like with the inventory in the warehouse, there's a lot of instinct involved. Because you've also sometimes got the issue of too much of one thing is a problem as well. If I get a semi-trailer of onions, there's only so many onions people can take on their own. They need other things to complement those onions because it's not just about giving people any food. There's a degree of dignity with giving them a good variety of food and those sorts of things as well. I couldn't think of anything worse than, oh, you're hungry, here's an onion, be happy about that. Because that's just, it's not right. So we manage our inventory, as I said, largely by instinct. So we'll get a donation offer. Okay, we've been offered a semi-trailer of onions. We'll take half of it because that will fit in with what we've already got here, or that we might be able to get some potatoes or something like that at similar time to sort of complement it. And we also use our knowledge of our agencies as to what they can handle as well. So, if it's, say, fresh milk, we will occasionally get some really generous fresh milk donations. We know that we can comfortably move 10 pallets a week. So if they offer me 20 pallets and it's got 2 weeks of date on it, we're good. If they offer me 30 pallets and we've got 2 weeks of date, thank you for the 30, but we would prefer to take the 20 so that we can make sure we're not wasting it either.
It's a lean.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very good. So I'm happy to know the way these things are managed. It's a little bit different than commercial, supply chain. Excellent, thank you. So next is the supplier relationship, because everything that you collect is coming from different sort of suppliers. They are donor. So how do you manage this relationship? Mainly the coals first, then I will talk about others. It looks like collaborative or partnership. So please explain us. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So the relationship with Coles and SecondBite is 12 years old, and the entire sector of food rescue is only about 20 years old. So Coles were pretty early into this mix. So the relationship with us essentially is around the DCs and around stores. So we go and we pick up every day from the back of every store, and we pick up from DCs when they need us to. So essentially, it is a partnership, and we do really work in lockstep. We try to flex up, they flex down. They hold things. It really is quite a partnership, and it works every day of the year, bar Christmas Day and Good Friday. So it really is a symbiotic relationship, which is fantastic. So it's evolved though. As time goes on and technology gets better and predicting their supply and demand gets better, the way that we work with them also changes. So they have worked with us to introduce us to suppliers of theirs. So whether it's manufacturing or at Farmgate, there's about 3 in 10 of anything that gets produced in those two groups ends up or could end up in landfill. So now we're working not just with Coles, but a step back with their suppliers to work out how we can stop things going to waste closer to the source.
Yeah, excellent. So you are going a little bit upstream of the supply chain.
Absolutely.
So, and also lots of trust and collaboration to build up this relationship, and it's a function of time.
Yeah.
Thank you. So you also have some relationship with like outbound logistics, and also with the donor. So donor in one side, and other side is the charity organization. So how do you build up relationship with others, like other than Coles, like donor and other charity organizations?
I'll get Nick to talk about charities, but as far as the other donors go, we're very reliant on donors, not just from a food level, but from a third-party logistics level. So we have partnerships with some growers and others that own their own fleet, and they will help us out. They will deliver and not charge us, which is amazing. We also have others that will give us pro bono or low bono rates for specific things, which helps us as well. We have all sorts of relationships. We have Toyota Material Handling, who is a really big partner of Coles in their DC systems and stores. And then they consider us to be, in terms of pricing, the same as Coles. Why does that matter? Because we're a little player. We don't get the same prices, but every dollar to us matters. So if we get the same price, we can drive our dollar further and we can feed more people. So there's a lot of relationships in our system, and a lot of great people that help us and donate and stretch the dollar to make sure that we can do what we do.
It's not only product, I can see product plus services.
Yeah, absolutely. We have, lawyers and accountants and trucking companies.
Yeah, they're all
everybody. So that really is a whole community effort. So whilst we're the front end of that, there's a whole lot of people behind us.
It's a third party.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good.
Yeah, look, on the charity side of it, there's a lot of relationship work there that needs to be done. Like, you can have an agency that is mar and par in their Holden Commodore wagon, trying to squeeze every ounce into the back, through to agencies that are actually really well equipped, similar trucks to the size of ours and those sorts of things. So, and you've got everything in between. So it's really quite a challenge to try and match what the agencies need and how we can work in with them. Because as Lucy said, there's way more demand at the moment than what's available. And part of what we want to do is make sure that no one's falling through the cracks if we can. So, regular communications with the agencies and knowing what their capacity is and knowing what their local demand is. No point me going and dropping off, a full truckload to someone that can only use 2 pallets. because that's just, it's inefficient and it just makes everyone's lives a lot harder. We've got agency partners that we that we can rely on when we do have substantial surpluses of stuff come in, that we can call them and they have the ability themselves to flex up with their people power. They put a couple of calls out on social media or something like that, and the whole army comes pouring in to help distribute the extra volume that we have. And those relationships are key because we go through a roller coaster of supply at times. When it's low, they understand, they work on the low model, but when it's high, they know how to turn it on.
Yeah, excellent. So it's a huge thing that you guys are doing that can bring us, that can contribute in our knowledge sharing in our classroom. I can see you guys are doing push and pull as well, because you push the product until here, and from this SecondBite to the charity you do pull. It's a good, excellent an example, I will say excellent example for our classroom. Thank you so much to tell us the whole sourcing things, the way you manage inventory, and I'm confident that this will give us some value in the classroom. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.